Sumailo Sunga Wharongo Tana Umaga. Coach of Moana Pacifica. First All Black captain of Pacific descent. That for me hits right here. President of Samoa. Prime Minister of Wainua Mata. First, hey, when was the last time you paid for a taxi in Samoa or in Wellington? Have you ever paid for a taxi in Wellington?
It's Uber.
Yeah. But you walk around, I'm serious. You don't pay for anything in Wellington, eh?
Of course, have to.
You know, would be here for the entire time of the podcast if I was to list all your achievements and all your accolades. So for the benefit of time, because we don't have 7 hours, can we just say, Tana, it's really special and an honour to have you on the Village Athlete podcast. Firstly, I hope this guy told you that we can't pay you. So why did you say yes for joining us? Why did you say yes, bro?
Well, I was just coming for breakfast. That's what I thought I was coming for, but and then all of a sudden I've done interviews and now I'm having this up. So, you know, it's just the way we roll.
Good to have you also.
I hope this guy told you what we're about.
He did.
So it must have, you know, something inside of you must have gone, okay, well, this sounds a little bit interesting.
Oh, for sure. You know, it's something that probably affects me at the moment in terms of, you know, looking at my connection to our culture. It took me a while to really connect to it. And that's probably because of when I was younger, the culture that was forced on me, you know, the things that you have to do.
Yeah.
You know, as we've talked about, when you have to go to church and you have to, you know, watch, you know, your parents and, you know, give money to you know, other family members so their kids can have, you know, Christmas presents and things like that. You know, obviously, you know, when you grow up and say, well, how does that work? You know, well, and then just, don't worry about it, son, you know, that's just the way it is. And I said, oh, geez, that doesn't seem fair. I don't get that.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit, because I think your journey as a young Samoan, growing up with older siblings as well, is a common thing, I think, for a lot of people now, right? Your story is very similar to mine. So you knew you were Samoan because your mum and dad were Samoan, but what did that mean to you? I mean, you just talked about the whālawe, the giving money away, giving money to other families to be able to support other, but you didn't really understand it. So, were you attracted to being Samoan? Did you know what it meant?
No, not at all, really. When I was younger, and because we were in Wainui, you know, we didn't have a big community of Samoans, and even at the school, my primary school, when I was there, you know, the only other Samoan was, you know, my cousin, and even, you know, I think that was the kind of start of it, when, you know, you come home and everyone speaks, you know, like expect you to speak Samoan, and I said, well, no one speaks Samoan at school, so why am I speaking Samoan, you know? And again, I don't know why, maybe it was because I was the youngest, but my parents gave me a bit of leeway when I was compared to my.
I thought there was heaps of islanders in Wainui. Isn't there?
Not at that stage. You know, this is
in the 40s. I thought there was.
So you went to school with Jesus?
Isn't it a big? But it's a big community
now.
Down there. Right?
There is now. And
because you guys were one of the early ones.
Yeah, we were one of the early ones. The first ones there. Our parents were the first. You know, some of the first ones there. And like, we had a soul, but obviously Wainui, we were spread around, and so, you know, down our end of Wainui, we were, you know, probably the only Samoan, one of the only Samoan families at that time.
What was everyone else?
Palangis, Māoris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of grew up with Māoris more, and Palangis when I was young. And that was a couple of my best, you know, most of my best friends were.
Yeah. You know. Did your butler sleep in the garage?
That's where I sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, so it was all a bit different, and also just probably the changing of time too, because my mother, at that time when I was younger, you know, we already had four. She already had 4 children, and then, you know, I came along at a late stage, and she was working at the same time. I had me, and then went straight back to work as a nurse. And then obviously as a nurse, she was she's a registered nurse, not a staff nurse. And so, you know, she had to learn to speak English, you know, with patients and doctors. And so, you know, it kind of suited her that I'd come and, you know, speak English, and so we could speak English and help her with her English. You know, my dad worked in a factory, but that's where all the islanders were.
All the sailors,
you know, so, you know, he could speak there. He just speak this, you know. So his English wasn't as good as you know, his mum's, and he didn't necessarily need it for work. So that was a big thing for me. Like, again, when I look back, you know, that's probably why I was given a bit of leeway to, we'll speak English, because my mum needed to speak English, you know, and it really helped along those lines. And, you know, when you're saying around, you know, when did I know I was Samoan? It's funny you kind of talk about it, because obviously, you know, you mentioned me playing for the All Blacks. Like, I'm a Kiwi, you know, like that's my thought from my earliest days is I'm a Kiwi. I want to be an All Black, you know, I want to be a professional sports person. I didn't necessarily link that to being, you know, I didn't say I was Samoan. I was a Kiwi that was, you know, Samoan, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get it. I was similar. But so looking in the rear view mirror, looking back to your younger self, where a lot of other young boys and girls, teenagers, I guess who are a little bit confused or not too sure about their own identity. What would you say to those guys who were in your shoes about your culture now?
Look, I've come back to our culture now that I've got a better understanding of it. And I think that's just something that...
Is it important for these kids?
It is, because you'll end up having to look, you'll end up looking for it. Once you understand our culture's a beautiful thing when it's done the right way, you know, for the right reasons. And, you know, if we look back years and years when, you know, there was money wasn't a thing, you know, like you had to, in your village setting that you talked about, it was everyone had to help everyone to get by. When you talked about wha'alawe is that you knew you'd help this family out because it would be reciprocal, because that necessarily, you know, there was nothing involved in that. But you add these other things in, then all of a sudden different mindsets start to come in. And my big learning is, you know, really it's not the culture itself, it's the people that perpetrate the culture to serve their own means. You know, so that's right. Now that I've come back to the culture, I serve it because I believe in it, and I know it's a great culture, and I know, you know, when it's done for the right reasons, it's a beautiful thing. And, you know, nowadays, you know, you have a look, and, you know, all the areas we live in are like everyone's trying to get at it, if you know what I mean. They're trying to take pieces of it, you know, to help them in their workspace, right? You know, the sports space, all the spaces are, because, you know, what we're good at is, well, we're good at looking after people, and that's what everything's about. It's
you know, you spoke about it's not the culture, it's the people that perpetrate whatever within, but using the culture as a means, and it's
So did you know
it's like the do you know the spell perpetrators? You went to De La Salle. So, you know, like it's like love, right? It's a reciprocal, right? It's like gift giving, right? But when it becomes, listen, just ring up Tana because I need some new wheels for my car. I need some mags in Wainui. Then that's like a perpetrator, right? That using the culture, using the cultural sort of ticket to get something that sort of isn't, I guess, as culturally sound, right? Did that happen to you a lot? Because, you know, like, I mean, because I got it a few times. No, more.
We spoke about it. It's a very good question. Tell us,
you know,
how many ties did you have to pay?
I don't know, but, you know, like I got one time the our tax refund hasn't come in, so can you help us with X, Y, Z? You know, I'm not going to say, but years ago, and it's like, but how do you? Like one thing we spoke about was how do you say no? How did you? Before you say, come across that?
How do you say no? Yeah, what did you have to?
I think
what did people ask you for?
Not just the wheels,
the whole car.
The whole car.
A lot of things like that. And I suppose, you know, my upbringing, because I wasn't steeped in the culture when I was younger, and that was a choice from me. You know, I fought against it as much as I could, and it's only because all I had was negative experiences in it. Only negative.
How old were you?
Right from, you know, the first one I remember when I was at, you know, White Sunday, you know, I was going to say training when I was at, you know, White Sunday practices. You know, like I remember getting fussied a lot for talking, and I was going, it's not even me, man. You know, and I'm not the only one. There's, you know, and I was going, how come I'm the one that's, you know, getting pointed out here? And then, you know, invariably, you know, like a few times I had been.
Yeah. How old had you been?
I was about, those times I was 12.
Oh, okay.
You know, 10. Like, I had to get kicked out of home and play rugby league because they played on Sunday. That was my motivation, so I didn't. It was when I was 16 was the last time I went to Sunday school and in church. But
because you wanted to play league on Sunday?
No, I went to league. Then I found out they played under 17.
So league helped you in your life. League helped you turn your life around. That's right.
That's a good segue into league, because maybe some people don't know that Tana has got a league background, like a really good league background. Junior Kiwis.
Very, very good.
Okay, I want to take you back to a specific time, Tana. When you were about 18, you signed to the Newcastle Knights. You stayed for 3 weeks, and then you came back home because you were homesick. That's not a new thing for our boys and our girls to leave home. My son is there at the moment with that. A lot of them come back and they don't give the opportunity they have in front of them to give it a decent crack, you know? So can you take us back to those 3 weeks in Newcastle and tell us what happened and why was it so hard for you to stay?
Look, it was 2 weeks. I only lasted 2 weeks.
Wikipedia told me it was okay, 2 weeks.
Lasted
2 weeks.
Yeah, only 2 weeks. But
how long did you sign up for first?
2 years.
2 years. So
I signed for 2
planning
years.
for 2 years.
Wow.
You lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, first, who told you to go? Did you tell mum and dad, I'm going?
Yeah.
Or did,
so we had a, you know, as you said, I'd played Junior Kiwis a couple of times, and I really wanted to. I knew sport was going to be my life, you know, because that's what I wanted to do. I didn't really pay attention at school, and that was a choice, because I'd rather be playing outside, and I knew, you know, watching the Winfield Cup, Rugby League was, you know, the game, and I heard they got paid. I said, I want to do that job, and yeah, I was a bit naive when I went, because, you know, like my understanding of what you got paid for was a bit different to what theirs was, and so, you know, I played for Wainuamata. You know, we were a big thing down there in Wellington, and you know, Ken Laban was the coach. You know, and you know, he organised me to go to help me to get to Newcastle, and I played with I went with a couple of the good friends. You know, Willie Po Ching and Brian Laumatia, and we'd play Junior Kiwis together. So we went.
Brian Laumatia.
And yeah, we were young, you know, and you know, you go with all the fanfare, and you know, as much as you know your parents can give you. So I had $100 in my pocket, you know, to last me for you know, I thought
2 years.
Yeah, exactly. That should last you a long time. But yeah, we got there and they put us up in a motel, you know, for the first year, and we thought, this must be short, but we stayed there for a week, but we had no food, so we had to fend for ourselves. So, you know, I had $100.
Yeah.
You know, Willie poaching, and we didn't have much money between us. You know, but we also had another guy, Joseph Kemp. You know, it was Tony Kemp's brother. Yeah. And he had no money. You know, but so, you know, us being us, we pulled our money, and you know, it was okay on this day, like we can only have a Happy Meal because we need our money to, you know, and they also have this thing called Sizzler. What's it called? The salad bar. You know, it costs you $5 at the salad bar to have all you can eat salad bar.
Unlimited,
and then they had this. I remember like the bolognese sauce. And like if you look through it, there might be 5 little bits of mince in it.
Oh, you're kidding.
So it was just salad, and we just feed ourselves up on salad, whatever was in that salad bar, and just keep pouring this.
They never told you about the situation, or they told you, but you just didn't have any.
Well, again, we just didn't know that. We turned up thinking it was this, and then we had who was there? It was Johnny Shue. John Schuster was there.
Sammy Stewart
was there.
Sammy
Tony
was there.
Kemp. So Joe's
James Goulding, was Jamie there?
I think, I'm not too sure if James was there, but definitely those three. It wasn't until those guys come and saw us, they come and brought us. Then they heard, we told them, they asked us how's it going. I said, man, we're running out of money.
Yeah.
So like we were going back and we were training and then coming home and what's going to happen, And because we were quiet, we didn't tell anyone at the club, anyone talked to us. We were just asking, when do we, go to work, or can we get a job?
Yeah.
Because we just wanted to. Again, that's the naivety of me. I just thought, when I become a professional player, they'll give me a job and then I can work. I didn't actually realise that the training and the game was the job.
Yeah.
And so they were saying, no, you're fine. You don't need a job because you're training. I was going, and then that kind of, for us, we're going, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was for the first week. We were running out of money, and like I said, I think we went to Johnny Shue's house for a barbecue, and that's when we said, we're kind of, we're worried because we're running out of money, and and then a day later, when we were saying, no, we're going to go home, we don't want to stay here. It wasn't what we thought it was. Day later, they kind of came to us. They'd moved us into now we didn't even know they had them, the players' houses.
Yep.
And then you had meals, like they put your name on a meal, like these are in there.
Oh, okay.
And
like a homestay.
Yeah, like a homestay.
Was that what you were supposed to have when you got?
We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's kind of what our expectation was. But we were just too. We didn't talk to anyone. We just went about our business. But then. We were ika, we're going to go home, And like I said, I'd been crying to mum and saying this. And then we got into this house and this is heaps better. This is heaps
this carpet.
Yeah, pretty much. Man, there's food in the fridge and that meal's mine. I said, and then it was just getting that high. And actually, no, we get that meal, you get those ones over there. I was going, how come that one's got all the fried chicken and this one's got... But I was just, how sweet as, it was still better than what we were having.
Yeah.
And so I kind of perked up a bit. I said, this is, But my mates, they just, nah, man, we're out. And then I was just thinking, well, because they were definitely going to go home. They, Willie and
Will and
Brian, they said they're going to go home, and I was going, and I was... didn't want to go home because I'd just been left. I'd come out. I'd spent so long chasing this, up in my eyes. Then I wanted to do that and telling everyone this is what I'm going to do. I left Wainui the man, and then and I don't want to come home 2 weeks later. But they brought us into a meeting. Says, sorry, they apologise. It was just a communication. We didn't realise that was meant to happen. And again, I was.
This was the club pulled
This is the club pulled us, and it was David Waite was the head coach at that stage.
Yep.
It was just for me, we had Robbie O'Davis picking us up most days. If you remember, mate. Big Chief Bill Harrigan he picked us on one time. So for us, I thought, man, they must think something of us if they're getting these kind of players to. But mind you, Robbie O'Davis was just he had made it, he played senior league then. But all those kind of guys, so for me it was that's a big thing. And then after they'd had this, we'd had this meeting, and I was going, okay, I was kind of I'm pretty keen to stay now and see it out. But Brian and Willie said, nah, we're going home, stuff there, man, And then I said, I don't want to stay here by myself. So in the end, I just said, I'm going to go home. And it was tougher, like coming home and like I said, went away with a lot of fanfare. Come back with.
So if one had stayed, would you have stayed?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah. It's just that comfort, That comfort when you're away from home. But also what you left behind.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I guess depending on your situation, going back,
Yeah.
Because then it's like, man, what am I going back to? And then also that, like you said, you spoke about, you had the big goodbyes, you know, and everybody saved up their goodbyes, and you had the konga and everyone gave you their new socks, you know, that you can wear that they haven't worn yet, that they got for Christmas. And now 2 weeks later you're back. So because that would have been that's playing on, because I know a lot of young athletes now, they have that, not like an embarrassment, but it's like a sense of failure that it didn't work out.
Well, 100%. And I suppose the biggest thing, like, I think I look back and at least I came home. You know, you hear a lot of stories when they go over, they're still mad to come back. So
Yeah, true.
they stay
Do
there,
something else.
they do something else, and then maybe
Find
get
a
lost.
different way.
Yeah, you know, and that was tough.
So for the guys and the guys and girls who've got opportunities like that galore to be able to leave home, Nigel and I have spoken about kids that we know, well, not kids, but young adults who still find it tough to be over there and come back home. Now, you said that you were quiet. You know, you didn't want to say anything to the club because maybe you were ma, but you just that was your nature. Is there something in that us as our young Pacific athletes, we need to be able to communicate better? Where does that come? You need to be able to find that, right?
100%.
You're lucky you had your support, but if you didn't have that, you know, was it all on you that you didn't speak up?
I think so. Also, it's also trusting, you know, making sure you've got a good relationship with the people that are organising these opportunities you know, and you know, like making sure that they understand, or you understand through them that, okay, this is what I'm expecting, and if I don't get it, that's when you can have a conversation. You know, like, you know, are they setting that up? Is that really going to happen? And you know, as we all know, like, what they say is different from what's written on paper, and it's what's written on paper that everyone knows. So real understanding that, sorry, hey, look, you know, they might be a friend, I love you, but unless it's down here, it doesn't really mean much to me.
Well, how does that 18-year-old navigate that?
Yeah, well, again, that's the tough thing. That's, you know, like, especially with our people, like, their network is usually their parent, and it's their parents that are...
These are the parents that can't speak English.
Anyway,
That's right.
So they say, all they see is, you know, like the amount, but it's not everything in. So they've got to, you know, in the industry we're in, like, I'm always saying to them, they've got to be invested in themselves. Because it's their career. You can't just leave it to someone else. And you're right. It's hard. It's hard to say that to an 18-year-old that you've got to own your career. Yet, you know, it's something that they need to learn, and learn quick.
It's good.
You know, because if they don't, you know, then things can happen. But again, it just comes down to education, and whether you're good at school or not, you still need to be educated. You'll be educated in football, and which will, as it's done for us, it served us in life. You know, I didn't have a good education because I wanted to chase the sport, but through rugby, it's educated me, you know, of how to do things, and that serves me in, you know, the world that I live in.
You also, you know, I've heard you say you weren't the perfect kid. You've admitted that yourself, you know. You're all of vale. Like, teenage boys, I don't know, girls, we do silly things, right? But what was it that got you back on track? What was it that said to you, right, I can continue to be an egg and muck around, but if I really want this, I need to chase it. But what was it that brought you back? Because I'm saying this for the young Pacific athletes who might think that they can run amok, but if they really want it, something's got to bring them back to really chase it. So what?
I suppose a lot of things. Family brought me back. My wife, who was my girlfriend, we had our son when we were 20. So, you know, that, you know, I'm not going to say that settled me down straight away. It's a realisation that I'm still young. I can still, and then, I've got to help, and, you know, there's another mouth to feed, and and especially when you have one, you know, someone, a child young, it did take a while, and even then, you know, with my football, it was, you know, like, how come no one's picking me? Is it me or is it? It's not me. It must be them. And through my family, and probably majorly through my wife, she says, as they do us, you got to get off your ass, and it's not just going to come to you. You've got to go work for it.
Yeah.
And when I finally realised that, shucks, I've got to do that. And as you are, you get when someone tells you something that is right, but you just don't want to be told.
Yeah.
And then I kind of said, well, I try and I live my life like I don't want to have regrets in life, and at least I'll give it a go, and then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then that's the way it is. So, I said, I'm going to listen, but I'm only going to do it once. It's like, I'm listening to you, but not much.
Yeah. I was going to do it anyway.
Yeah, I was going to do that.
Yeah.
But really, so, for me, kind of the change is when I decided to get myself fit to play Super Rugby. I'd made it, but I was never fit,
How old was that?
24.
Okay. You decided to get fit at 24?
24.
Surely.
Okay. Because, like I said,
I just got through?
I just got through, just doing it. I'd made all these teams.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, talent gets you just...
Yeah.
And then, I think you asked me before around, when did you know you were good at this game? And I said, well, when everyone kept picking me. I must be good at this game because people are picking me and I'm just enjoying it, and it not too hard because it's what I'm doing anyway, And then all of a sudden you get to a level where, no one's picking me. So then, wow, it's their fault, not mine,
Sure.
And then I realise that's because you kind of exhausted that level of talent that you need to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And then I said, what do you do to raise your level? It's you got to work. And so all I did was I hired a personal trainer, did a pre-season, which I've never done before.
Yeah.
And he put me through the ringer, and I turned up to pre-season training. And because I'd pissed them all off the year before, they just made me do everything. They wouldn't give me a rest, and I had to play every game, all the quarters in the games, because because of the way I turned up the year before. But I was ready for it, because I'd trained so hard, and they said, "Oh, there's a change." And I had pretty much a breakout season in Super Rugby, and that's the year I became an All Black. And so the rewards were pretty swift for me. I'm not saying it's always like that for people, but you get what you work for. And
sometimes,
I think so. I'm gonna say you still work, but at least you know, you know what I mean. And you just, it's just a good lesson to learn. As we know, talent only gets you so far, and then what differentiates you from the rest is your ability to work. And then when you're in there and you're willing to work, it's how you work under pressure. The higher you get. It's just all little things, but it's just how you work.
Wow. He didn't do anything.
I was working this morning.
He's got no idea.